top left conversation. We look at that conversation, which I was invited to my son's first year college day, parent day at the college. I'm not going to tell you which college that was because then someone may be watching. But it looks like this, and everyone's so proud that they're in a one-to-one environment. They're so proud that they're using these tools. So everyone says, yes, we have a great environment where we use IT to its maximum potential. So there everyone sits, and I asked my son to take a picture from the back of the room. And when you look at the back of the room, and when I was looking at all of the computer screens from the back of the room, I saw Facebook pages, I saw video conferencing with the girlfriend back in her apartment, I saw somebody watching a movie, I saw a whole variety of things, but I didn't see one computer except my son's computer who was doing GarageBand to record the lecture. I didn't see one other computer that was actually focusing on what the professor was talking about. Not one. Which presents a problem. And one of the problems that we have here is the professor is deceived into thinking that he's doing a good job. In fact, not only that, he was using clickers, of which my son, actually I paid $85 for my son to have a clicker in that classroom, where every time a slide would come up, he would say, so what's the answer to number 3, and what's the answer? He would do a pop quiz. And he would say, oh, it's wonderful, 80% of you are getting it right. That's wonderful. We have 90% of people getting this answer right. What he was not keeping track of was in a 114-person lecture, there were 300 votes. Not the right discussion to have. So what I would say is the following. How is it that we can make sure that 21st century tools are connecting with 21st century children? And I think we have very specific questions that I want to direct our attention to. And the first is the tool commensurate with the student's use at home? Are the tools that we give students in the classroom commensurate? Are they the same or commensurate with what they did back home? The second question, of course, is how do you measure the authenticity of the experience? The baseline, the litmus test, should be about the lives of students and not about the application to their lives, but what do you see in the lives of children when you're talking about authentic experiences. And then finally, I want to draw our attention to whether or not the students are being involved in the experience of the evaluation. Do we listen to the questions and the answers that students have for us, or do we make up our own evaluations that are steered by perhaps the wrong questions that we're asking? So let's just start with the first. Are we incommensurate with what it is that teachers and students are doing in the classroom and at home? Well, here's some indicators for us. Students are using tools inappropriately. Well, let me just pause for a minute and talk about how and why students are using tools inappropriately. I ask to do surveys of the use that children have. I have focus groups of what children say they do at home and at school. I talk with parents. I'm invited to speak with parents about these things all the time. When I ask children, what do you do at home? They say basically that I am 5 hours unsupervised with an internet, with no filters, no passwords, and I'm doing my homework with all kinds of media blaring around me. And I ask, where are your parents? Are they in the room? 75 to 80% of them say no. I ask, do your parents know how to lock down the network? 80% of them say no. Their parents are not involved in what the children are doing at home. And so children are creating their own norms, and they're bringing these natural norms into the classrooms. Why would we expect them not to? We have to have that conversation with parents about the appropriate use at home and not lock down the tools when they come to school. That behavior should be commensurate. What they do at home should be as safe as what they do at school. And somebody has to be involved in helping teach that besides just parents, or just the teachers. We also should look at the fact that children, when they get to school, are often not allowed to change the language or to download an app or to install anything on their own. It's locked down. No, we can't do that. We need 3 days permission for even the teacher to do it. Right? That makes the experience of home and school entirely incommensurate. If parents are asking you about how good the grades are, and they're not looking at how children are learning, that's the wrong conversation. You can't be assured that the tool is appropriate until you've had the other conversation. And then finally, we commonly use the words schoolwork and homework to define them. So even linguistically, we're talking about two different worlds. So we ask children and we ask parents, if you compare these two charts, you ask children, what do you do at home, what do you use at home, how often, how many hours, and you look at those that they do at school, the back chart clearly is very, very narrow. But the fore chart is how children are using it on a regular basis, at home, ubiquitously.